Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the last video, we explored what metaphysics really is. That is not some old, dusty philosophy, but it's a science, a sacred science concerned with the absolute reality, the highest reality with God itself. We discovered that the Shahada, the words we say every day in our Azan, in Iqama, in our Salat, they contain profound metaphysical truths. Now, in this second video, exploring Professor Nasr's book, What is Metaphysics? A very small, thin book that you see, very deep though. This video is really special to me because in this video, we explore two key ideas. One, in addition to our five senses, sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, each of us have an additional faculty, a faculty to sense the unseen that is beyond these five senses, a faculty to perhaps even see reality as it is, even see God. Number two, how a certain shift in perspective that happened in history not too long ago actually deprived us of this beautiful faculty that we all still latently possess. So what is this faculty of actually seeing God that I'm speaking about? Well, ever so often we get to experience a breathtaking sunset. The red and the orange hues among the clouds, they just set the sky ablaze. I mean, our heart goes still. We are starstruck, speechless. What is that I'm looking at? And in that moment, we feel something otherworldly. We see something. And this is not from our eyes or not something that we're listening to from our ears, but it's from something inside. It's calling out to us that such infinite beauty beyond horizons is an expression of a greater reality. And just then, you're distracted, either by a thought or worse, by Instagram. And that feeling fades away. These moments, they are not limited to the stunning natural world. There are moments in prayer, moments when we are in a place of worship, moments in salat, when everything goes quiet. Our minds are still, and we experience a glimpse of the same reality. Why do we experience these moments? We do so because we have this faculty. We're gifted with this faculty, with this inner eye. The Quran calls it the eye of the heart. That was made to see the higher reality. That was made to see God. Not just believe in Him, see Him. Now, when I say see, we automatically think of these eyes. But no, I mean you experience within you, in the depth of your beings, a greater reality, and experience it with yaqeen, with certainty. Throughout human history, this was actually the norm. This was how people lived. This is how they experienced reality in various degrees, of course. But then we forgot. We were told we only had shallow reason, and that inner eye closed. So this video is the story how we forgot that we could actually see God. And how exactly did we forget? And what is this inner eye, the eye of the heart or aql that the Quran and Islamic tradition speaks about? Well, to understand this faculty that we have we first have to understand who we are. Who am I? I am not a material being. I am not something that has come from nowhere and that will go back to nothing. Yes, I have a mind that can check off to-do lists and that can solve crossword puzzles. But beyond my mind, I also have a heart intellect. That the heart intellect that has the capacity or faculty that penetrates this veneer of materialistness. The heart intellect that senses reality as it truly is, beyond this material casing and form. And when it does, and it does so often, we taste what the Sufis call zawq. It's a sweetness that is beyond this world. This is what the Quran points to when it points to others who says, Hum la yaqilun, do they not intellect? Observe, it uses the word akal, intellect. It doesn't say, do they not reason? It says they do not use this faculty of intellect, inner intellect, to know that God is there and God is one. After all, to use akal properly is to come to know Tawhid, or the divine unity. Now, why do we have this heart intellect? How do we have this heart intellect? As Islamic tradition informs us, God breathes his spirit into Adam. By doing so, he created Adam in his form. Now, form meaning here that we are the only creation that mirrors, that has the capacity to reflect God's form, to reflect the full divine light of God's names and qualities. So when we are acting with mercy, with rahmah, we are becoming more like the Rahman. When we forgive, in spite of feeling anger, we are subduing, we are reflecting the light of Al-Ghafur. When we are at peace, in spite of the world being in turmoil, we are mirroring As-Salam. The Quran asks that those who have this faculty, that those who have this intellect, that those who see, هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون? And those who do, and those who know equal to those who do not know? This knowing isn't information. It's true knowing. It's deep knowing. It's seeing reality as it is. Now, for most of human history, this was known, not just by saints and sages, but this was woven into the fabric of life. Every civilization had its contemplative heart. Sufism in Islam, the mystics in Christianity, the sages of the East, and the ordinary person, they lived in a world where the sacred was present. Even though the ordinary man couldn't describe it with metaphysical accuracy, he had an awareness that this world points to something beyond. And he lived that way. It influenced him. It's how he made decisions. It's how he brought up his family, his children. Over time, man began to lose touch with his soul. And what was replaced with was dogma. What's this dogma? It's following the rules, the tenets of religion without depth and understanding. And it was this was the atmosphere of 17th century Europe, along with a whole lot of intellectual paranoia. Why? Because in 17th century Europe was the time when something called the Protestant Reformation was happening. This Protestant Reformation, it shattered the unity of the Catholic Church. So in response, there was the Catholic Counter-Reformation, which was busy stitching back this unity. and often with control and many times even with fire. This was the era that a French philosopher, Descartes, lived in. Descartes saw that knowledge built only on dogma, which didn't have metaphysical depth, had very shaky foundations. Now, if he wasn't sure about religious doctrine, what could he be sure about? So he jumped to this cesspool of radical doubt. I doubt this, I doubt that, I even doubt that I exist. Hold on, wait a minute. I may doubt that I'm existing, but I can't doubt that I'm doubting. To paraphrase Descartes, even if an evil demon deceives me, the very fact that I'm being deceived, that I'm doubting, proves that I exist. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am, or I doubt, therefore I am. After all, now who can argue that I exist because I'm thinking? That was a shift from faith in authority to faith in just low-level reasoning. Descartes' little tweet, I think, therefore I am, became very popular. It received a lot of likes and shares. Why? Because precisely at that time, there was this other thing that was happening called the scientific revolution. And thinkers were claiming something fresh, rigorous, not shackled to dogma. But what probably Descartes himself did not foresee was that he reduced reality and the depth of the intellectual faculty with all its multiple dimensions to just two. That is reason and material world. That's it. This resulted in flattening of the beautiful and multiple dimensional view of reality to just what we could touch and what we could just physically see, and no longer what we could sense and experience by our higher faculties. This kick-started rationalism, the belief that reason alone can understand everything, and with that, the coffin was nailed shut on our inner faculties. Now let's tease apart Descartes' famous tweet, I think, therefore I am, from the metaphysical point of view. From the standpoint of tradition, including the Islamic tradition, one would say, I think, therefore God is. Because I can think, I can do so. It's a faculty that I have that not every creature has. I can think because there is God. After all, my power of thinking has to come from somewhere. To say, I think, therefore I am, is to put thinking first and existence later. Being later. That's ridiculous. I exist first, therefore I can think. I don't think and therefore I am. Thinking is one of the functions of the human mode of being. I be, therefore I think. Rationalism destroyed once and for all the meaning of the intellect as it is understood in Islamic metaphysics, Hindu metaphysics, even non-theistic Tibetan Buddhist metaphysics, and in any of the other traditional schools of metaphysics and epistemology. As a result, what did we lose? We lost that breathtaking sunset we spoke about. Sure, we can still see it. These eyes still work, but that inner eye that saw through the sunset all the way to the divine, for most of us, that inner eye closed, or it barely flickers open. And that's not just all. With it, we lost more than we realize. We lost true answers, meaningful answers, deep answers, satisfactory answers to the deepest questions. Why am I here? Why does nothing material satisfy me? What is this ache in my heart that no matter how many material possessions I gather, it doesn't go away? We lost the soul of religion, and religion became rules without meaning. We lost our connection to nature, and nature became a thing to use and throw away. It has now been this way for centuries. The consequences are very, very real. We're living through these consequences right now. What are those consequences of giving up a metaphysical worldview, of giving up your view of the metaphysical reality as it is? That's what we'll explore in the next video. But till next time, take care, keep smiling, Khuda Hafiz.